Hello, I'm Rosie. Today I'm going to do a book review of The Princess Bride by William Goldman. A few years ago I watched the film, not realising that it was a book first, and I really enjoyed the film. So since then I've always had it in the back of my mind to read the book, but that's not really happened until this year. And I got this version which has a really nice cover and it just looks really cool, especially with the black and white. The book itself is essentially a love story, but the love story is surrounded with battles and giants and riddles and potions and all sorts of crazy things that you just love in all the other fairy tales. It's all been put together in this book. I think that's what makes it such an endearing book that appeals to everyone, because it's got romance, it's got adventure, it's got fighting, it's got all of that. I think that is part of the appeal, because I know this book just appeals to a lot of people. The film as well has become such a cult classic. The main character is a girl called Buttercup, who is supposed to be the most beautiful girl in the land. The farm boy who was hired by her parents ends up falling in love with her, and together they just fall drastically in love with each other until he goes off to earn enough money to provide for her. However, his ship gets captured by pirates and she believes him dead. The main bulk of the story is set, I think, 5 years after that event, and she is now due to be wed to the prince of the land, Prince Humperdinck, until she gets kidnapped, and that's when the story begins. It just ends up just being this massively crazy book with lots of adventure and excitement, and it's just really entertaining. However, there were a few points in this book that did break the spell. The main one being is the treatment of Buttercup as the sole female character of the book. She is defined by her appearance, and this fact basically ruined the relationship between the two for me. She was constantly being saved by men and people only loved her because of her appearance. This fact is, there's going to be a slight minor spoiler here, like really minor, but at one point she asks Wesley why he loves her. His response is essentially page upon page of parts of her appearance, why her golden hair, her lovely eyes, and all of that. Like he just waxes lyrical about her appearance, and that's why he loves her. To give Buttercup due credit, she does ask him, what about my brain? And his response to that is, oh yeah, that as well. I don't know whether the author did this on purpose to kind of highlight the fact that all too often relationships are based on appearance, especially when women are involved in books. There's not much about personality, and that's why people love each other. That point did really kind of ruin the relationship for me, because while I did enjoy it in the movie, having that section was just like, why are you together? He only cares about your appearance. What are you going to do when you get older and your golden hair that he cherishes so much turns silver? Will he love you the same if it's a different colour? Like, I didn't like that approach to it at all. It was also quite predictable in places. Like, even though I'd seen the film, in the book there are a few other twists and turns that weren't included, but I still kind of got them. I don't know whether that was because I'd seen the film, so I understood the book's angles and where it was coming from and what the end result would be, but personally I did struggle with that. But on a more positive note, I really enjoyed Fezzik and Inigo, pronunciations, why? Their friendship was probably the highlight of the book. Each were very unique characters on their own and so different, yet when they're together you just kind of root for them and you can't help but love them. They make you laugh, they make you sympathise with them, they each have their backstories, relatable as well, and I just really enjoyed their parts of the books more than anything else. They were basically the best characters, because I did notice that each character is built around a concept in this book. Like Buttercup is beauty, for instance. Prince Humperdinck is hunting, that's his characteristic. And I thought, like, while that did provide interesting twists on things, it did make the characters seem a little flat. They didn't have much else to them beyond that concept that they were built around. It did add an entertaining aspect and it did help differentiate between the characters, but otherwise I did find it hard to connect to the other characters. I think this is because this isn't supposed to be a book that you take seriously. It's a book that's there for laughs and entertainment, so which I think is why maybe I didn't connect to it as well. 'Cause while I enjoy that side of things, I also like getting more involved in the story and the character developments, whereas this one, it's more about the adventure and the plots. Like, there isn't as much character development in this book, really. I did enjoy this book, it's just there are a number of things that ruined it for me in a way. I don't know whether I was expecting too much from it, which could be why I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. But I think the whole thing with Buttercup, and in fact I can't even think of any other female characters in this book, and that's just disappointing for me. They're the characters I can connect to best, especially since this book is based around a world. I think it's highly improbable that an entire world only has one female. So with all that in mind, I gave the book 3 out of 5. I would say it's definitely worth the read because it is such an occult book. I will say this, going into it, there's a whole forward thing about how this book is an abridged version of another book. That is not true. I don't know why it's been done that way, but it just kind of adds a separate layer to the book. It started off like I didn't know what to make of it, but after a while I started to really enjoy the footnotes and interjections of the author saying, and then the original author went on a whole rambling about the colour of the curtains, and I just thought, which made the book just even that bit more entertaining and fun. Because that's what this book is, it's a fun book. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it, but I think personally out of the film and the book I did prefer the film more. I think I'd have to watch it again, and I'd be interested to see what my response to the film would be after reading the book and having those issues with the Buttercup and Wesley relationship and the other characters not really having any background or history, they're just being there. And I'm glad I read the book. It's answered a lot of questions I did have, and I did enjoy it, it's just it wasn't quite as good as I was hoping it would be. That's it for that review. I will see you next time. Goodbye!